Start surfing responsibly with StartPage, the world's most private search engine.
Welcome into this Reality Report special interview. My name is Ronan O'Shea. I'm joined now by the founder of the Liberty Restoration Project, Catherine Bleish. Catherine, I appreciate you taking time. I know things are busy for you right now, but it's good to talk to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are awfully busy yourselves.
The Liberty Restoration Project is something that you founded, and it was created to break down the barriers that divide Americans. And some of those barriers that you mentioned is the two-party system, the Republicans and the Democrats, which pretty much dominate politics in America. What is it about the two-party system that inspired you to create this group and take a stand?
Well, I was very much so involved with the 2008 Ron Paul presidential campaign, and I came from a very left background. Animal rights, anti-war is what got me concerned and involved politically, and then I learned about Dr. Ron Paul. And it was during that campaign that I realized that we have become so divided as a nation, and we look at the neighbor across the street with a yard sign from someone with another political party, and we make all these predetermined assumptions without even knowing each other. And so this two-party system has really created, in my mind and in my experience, an atmosphere of hostility for Americans. And I think if we were to stop associating ourselves with right and left, with black and white, and start looking at all the shades of gray and all the wonderful colors that exist out there, you know, the world can't be divided into two sides. And unfortunately, the powers that be, the puppeteers, if you will, they have masterfully divided us into left and right, and we spend our time pointing across the aisle instead of looking up and realizing that this is a system of basically a robber class and a serf class, a class of tyrants and a class of peasants is what we've become, and they have the peasants fighting amongst each other.
Well, the division couldn't be any more clear than it is right now, especially since Barack was elected as president. We've seen over the past few months the rise of the Tea Party movement. So what is it that your group actually does to break that gap, to try to bring people back together?
Well, we stick to issues that we feel bring people together, that unite people as human beings. Those issues include personal privacy, sovereignty, the ability to grow your own food and be a part of a community. So we have been battling the red light cameras, the body scanners. We've been pushing 10th Amendment issues. We had the Real ID banned in the state of Missouri. We fought the MIAC report, which was a report that profiled people like yourself and myself as potentially radical, violent militia members. So we really try to tackle issues that unite people across the aisle. We do not touch the hot button left, right issues. We stick to things that are affecting everyday Americans, and everyday Americans can feel what is happening. You know, people are hungry, they're losing their jobs, and they're looking for solutions, and we hope to provide them.
Well, Catherine, you certainly have your critics. The Southern Poverty Law Center recently came out with its Patriot Hit List. You were in the top 5. What do you say to your critics that say that what you're doing and what this group is potentially dangerous to America?
I say that they need to take a step back and look at the path our country has taken since our founding. Remember, our country was founded because we had a revolution in the face of tyranny. Everything our organization discusses right now is based on fact. We're talking about legislation introduced or passed by the U.S. or state Congress. We are talking about actual raw video footage that is coming from people on the ground with video cameras. We're not talking about opinions. We're not talking about punditry. We are talking about actual things that are happening. And so if people think that we are stirring the pot or in some way radicalizing people, I would argue that no, we are not the ones radicalizing or stirring the pot. It is the government who's doing the radicalizing. They are pushing people to the point where they feel they have to defend themselves. And if they have to defend themselves, I don't believe it's going to be the American people who are taking a step in an act of aggression against the government. From what I am able to see, what I am witnessing, It is the government aggressing upon the people of this country in an attempt to control them. And what you will see are people defending themselves when they're told they cannot grow an organic garden in their backyard, when they're told they can't homeschool their children, when they're told that they have to participate in a system that they are morally opposed to, when they have money taken from them at the point of the gun, when they're trying to feed their children. That is when people are going to feel they have to defend themselves. And unfortunately, the ones creating that situation are the people at the top, the federal government.
You've taken a hard stance about the government, and I know that you're not anti-government. You've made it clear before that you're anti-corrupt government or too big government. You had a really interesting opportunity last week to get some national exposure. I know Anderson Cooper's 360 on CNN primetime television interviewed you, and you made a really interesting statement on that show that I wanted to ask you about. You asked the question back to the interviewee, who is being violent in America? Who is the violent group in America? Is it the everyday citizens? Is it the militia groups that we're seeing popping up across various states? Or is it the federal government? And you made it very clear that you feel that the federal government is committing violent acts against the American people. Can you please expand on that?
Yes, absolutely. If you were to sit down in front of a computer and go to YouTube, just type in taser, type in police brutality, and what you will see is an epidemic that has started to happen in our country. And the reason I attribute that to the federal government is because our federal government is giving grant money to our local law enforcement to arm them with tasers, to train them in military counter-terror practices. You actually have local law enforcement and state law enforcement officials who are flown out to Israel to be trained on counter-terror practices. No longer are our law enforcement on the streets to protect and serve. They are on the streets to generate revenue and to control and oppress. And if you disagree with me, I encourage you to check out the raw video footage that proves what I am saying is true.
All right, and Catherine, I'll give you a chance here now to push the website as well. I know it's libertyrestorationproject.org. I know that there's a lot of links. The issues that you stand for are laid out very cleanly on that website, and I know you encourage people to check it out and then get involved.
Yes, absolutely. If you are interested in personal privacy or sovereignty, I encourage you to check out the libertyrestorationproject.org. That is where we highlight all the projects that we're working on, as well as news that is related to those issues. My personal blog is don'ttreadoncat.com. I focus on highlighting activists all across the country who are moving and shaking and making things happen. And one of the projects we are working on that I think is one of the most valuable experiences for me and for our movement that I've ever seen, it's called Operation Defuse. If you go to operationdefuse.com, what we are working to do is to visit these Department of Homeland Security fusion centers that are profiling people. And we are using the Oath Keeper concept to build a relationship with those fusion centers to show their staff that while DHS may be training you that I'm a violent criminal, I want you to meet me, shake my hand, look me in the eye, and know that I am not. So if that order ever comes down for them to react or act upon those reports, they will know that I am a good person, they will know that you're a good person, and hopefully they will refuse those orders.
All right, Catherine, well, it's good talking to you. Obviously very passionate about what you do, and it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months. Like we said before, tension is clearly rising here in the country, and we'll see what happens over the next few months and how your group is influenced and affected by what goes on as well. So thank you for talking to us, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Start surfing responsibly with Start Page, the world's most private search engine.